Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 5:30, Monday, May 4th, 2026. I am going to open the public hearing for Stubtown Road for the consideration of the discontinuance of Stubtown Road, otherwise known as Town Highway number 38. Just for the record, the select board went and visited Stubtown Road at 4:30 this afternoon. We had a site visit there, and the entire board was there, along with Judy Alberry, Brent, Raymond, our town attorney David Rue, and Jordan St. Ange. Chris Town joined us as well as a budding property owner. The process here will be to, in just a couple of minutes, we're going to get evidence of notice from our town attorney, David Rue. Following that, we'll get evidence from our highway superintendent, Jordan St. Ange. And at that point, anybody who's interested in providing testimony or comments will be given a chance to do that. And the last part of the process will be to allow for cross-examination of any of the testimony and comments that are provided. And so that's that. I'll just remind the board that the board has the opportunity to ask questions at any point as we go through this process. The first thing I'm going to ask is for anybody who is planning to provide evidence, if you could stand and I will swear you in. So do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under pains of and penalties of perjury? I do. Okay. Is there anybody online that I missed with that?
Doesn't appear to be interested.
Okay. Okay, David, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Don. I'm David Rue from SPNF Attorneys in Burlington, formerly Stitzel, Page, and Fletcher. This is the public hearing following the inspection of the premises for the discontinuance of Stubtown Road, Town Highway number 38. We run this procedure in accordance with Title 19 VSA Chapter 7, and we have provided for the select board a stack of exhibits that demonstrate our satisfaction of the notice requirements under the statute. We have a notice of examination and public hearing. That's Exhibit 1. Exhibit 2 is proof that we published that notice in the News and Citizen at least 10 days before the hearing. Exhibit 3 are copies of letters and certified mail receipts indicating that we mailed by certified mail the notice to all those property owners that abut or are interested in Stubtown Road. There's a placeholder for the minutes when this proceeding is complete. And then Exhibit 5 is a survey that was prepared for Clarence Town as part of a subdivision, but that helps show the town highway right of way. And then the tax map, tax parcel map also depicts the town highway right of way. That's Exhibit 6. If there are any questions about the exhibits, please let me know. But we've also notified the Planning Commission and the Vermont Department of Forest, Parks, and Recreation as required by statute.
Thank you, David. Are there any questions for David?
Just one reminder, the legal standard for the board this evening is whether the public good, necessity, and convenience of the inhabitants of the town warrant discontinuing the town highway. There's a number of factors that go into that. Jordan will hit on those. So,
okay. Thank you, David.
Don, I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, George.
David, in your Exhibit 6, Stubtown Road is highlighted in yellow or light green. Is that the section that is being voted to be discontinued? And I ask that because it's not consistent with what was attached to the agenda.
Yes, and I don't know why it was highlighted that way. It's actually highlighted in reverse. On the left side of the page, you see a highlight that runs north-south next to a 50-foot RW.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually a private right-of-way.
Okay.
That highlight should be shifted over to the right-hand side of the page and cover the northerly portion of the traveled way you see there, just above where it says 50 and a yellow line in RW.
Okay,
So the town highway right of way is curved. It looks like a smile, but it doesn't include anything to the left of where you see the label Stubbtown Road and the little dot and the arrow. So that stuff to the sort of arm that shoots up to the north there is actually a private driveway that runs beyond the barn we saw at the site visit today.
thank you.
Okay.
Cool.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Okay, so I'll start by reading some of our road policy. Section B11 states downgrading substandard roads. The existing town road network shall be reviewed by the select board in consultation with the village and town road foreman at least every 5 years to determine if dead end roads do not serve a public purpose and should be downgraded or discontinued. So that's what we are doing here. I also read section C1, rural road specification.
Go ahead.
Town roads located in a rural residential agricultural zone shall have a gravel surface and be a minimum of 20 feet wide plus a 2-foot shoulder on each side of the road. We noted on our site visit today, the road width varies, but it was generally 16 to 17 feet wide. We did also notice that there was, I believe, 4 driveway culverts that were undersized. They were a 6-inch driveway culvert, where our road policy calls for an 18-inch minimum driveway culvert. So the road was narrow. It did have a good turnaround for the plow, but it involves plowing more than just the town road. You'd have to plow beyond the barn to the back of the barn there. I estimate the current maintenance costs are around $3,300, give or take, per year for this section. To upgrade the road to meet standard, I estimate would be in excess of $10,000. And I don't believe any of the residents would be happy about that project either. We'd have to widen it up, take a good bit of yard, replace driveway culverts. We did run into one resident, Chris Town, during our site visit, and he showed his support for discontinuance. And I also know that there are no public interests such as hiking trails, recreation, or public property that's accessed by this road.
Right. And I guess just to clarify George's comment from before, the length of the road is about 530 feet that we're considering for discontinuance.
Correct. It's a 1/10 of a mile, so 530 feet.
And that should begin right at the intersection with Lower Elmore Mountain Road.
Correct.
Okay.
And then it extends about halfway up the barn.
Yep.
Yeah, the town highway right of way as laid out, as far as we understand it, does not include the southerly leg or jog sort of that creates the triangular access area. It is only the northerly portion there that we walked along today. I don't think anybody walked along that southern sort of access. But that's not part of the town highway right of way.
Great.
I'll read one other section of the our road policy, section B9, for when we're determining public good. This says dead end roads, not town roads. The select board has determined that accepting dead end roads is contrary to the public good, and only roads that provide access to a through street shall be accepted as town highways. And then there's talk in there for make an exception to this dead end road if it provides public purchase, such as primary access to public property or valuable recreational activities, or for dead end roads constructed by construction of the truck route. So that's obviously, we're not looking at accepting a road here, but give some light into what has been used in the past to show public good.
Great. Thank you, Jordan. Any questions from the board? Anybody in the audience or on Zoom that would like to provide testimony or comments? Any cross-examination of the testimony? Okay, so we have gone through our public hearing. At this point, I would be looking for a motion to close the hearing, and then just want to remind the board that a possible deliberative session would be coming up next, but maybe we should close the hearing first.
I'll move to close the hearing.
Okay, so I have a motion to close the hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion by Richard, a second by George. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of closing the public hearing for Stubtown Road, also known as Town Highway number 38, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. At this point, we have a possible deliberative session. We have several choices here. I'll just remind the board that we can go into private deliberative session. As we did last week, we can go into public deliberative session. We could have deliberative session at a later date. We could even do it via email. So I'm wondering what the will of the board is. Our town attorney is here right now. I think it would be, in my opinion, wise for us to go into deliberative session now and invite our town attorney and our town manager and executive assistant in as well.
I'll make a motion. I move to go into private deliberative session, including Attorney David Drew, Town Manager Brent Raymond, and Judy Alberry.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion by Richard and a second by George. Discussion. If this motion should pass, we will go upstairs for deliberative session. I'm not anticipating this to be very long, but you never know. We'll return here for the regular select board meeting once that's done. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous. Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
I will move to adjourn a special meeting.
Do I have a second? Okay, so I have a motion by Richard, second by Leah to adjourn the special meeting for Stubtown Road, Town Highway number 38. Any discussion? Okay, it is 5:46. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
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 We are adjourned. Okay. Judy, I'm going to do alcohol and tobacco next.
Yeah.
Just do yours. Share with them.
You got it. Let me just start it and I'll give it to you. Good. Okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is 5:47, Monday, May 4th, 2026. I'm going to call the Board of Liquor and Tobacco Control to order for the town of Morristown. Any agenda changes or additions? Okay, we have minutes from April 20th. Do I have a motion?
I'll move. No, go.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Leah, second by Richard. Any discussion regarding the minutes of April 20th, 2026? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
That would be unanimous.
No.
Liquor license applications, we have 3 to consider. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the liquor license of Mountain View Camp Ground Corporation. Becky to Foreign Wars, the Morrill County Post 9653 and Soulmate Brewing Company.
Okay, thank you.
That's good.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Lee and a second by Richard. Any discussion regarding these 3 liquor license renewals? I assume the chief is okay with these?
Yes.
Okay, great. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
It would be unanimous. Tobacco license applications, we have none. Special event permits, we have none. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn Board of Liquor and Tobacco.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Richard and a second by Rose. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
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 That's unanimous and it's 5:49. Okay. Good. Yeah. Okay, it is 5:50, Monday, May 4th, 2026. I'm going to call the regular Town of Morristown Select Board meeting to order. Do we have any agenda changes or additions? Community comments. Welcome community comments. If anybody has community comments, please come up to the microphone. Remember that this is a select board meeting where we do select board business. If you do have comments, please address your comments to items that are not already on the agenda. And please also address myself and not members of the staff. Does anybody have any comments? Anybody online? Okay, I'm seeing nothing, so I'm going to move on. Okay, thank you. Approve the minutes from 4/20/26.
I'll move to approve the minutes of 4/20/26.
Yeah. Yeah, the little white hand gets you going all the time, doesn't it? Look for yellow. Go ahead, minutes. Did you give me a
I
motion?
made a motion.
Okay.
A second.
And who, so I have a motion by Richard and a second by Leah. Thank you. Any discussion regarding the minutes? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to new business. Street treats. I believe we had Brittany here last year, Brittany Benway. And I believe that was your first year with street treats, and you're back this year. So I'm assuming things have gone well. Great. Adele, do you have anything to say on this one? Okay. Brittany, is there anything, would you like to come up to the microphone? We have a application here that we need to act upon, but is there anything you would like to add? If you could come up to the microphone and just maybe just say hi. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Hi, my name is Brittany Benway and I'm the co-owner operator at Street Treats Ice Cream Truck. And I'm here today just looking to hopefully get approval for another year of running the ice cream truck in the neighborhoods.
Great. I have good news for you too, Brittany, in that, as you know, when we did tobacco and liquor, I asked if the chief of police was fine with those applications. And we asked the chief about your business, and the comment was, "Who's that?" And so that's, I think, good news. So there's nothing negative there. So we thank you for that. So yeah, glad you're back for a second year. Thank you. Thanks for coming up. I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the itinerant vendor license application for Street Treats Ice Cream Truck for the sale of prepackaged novelty ice creams and follow the same route as summer 2025 and authorize Don McDowell to sign on behalf of the select board.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Said motion by Richard, a second by George. Any discussion?
You stole my question. Have you heard anything negative? And obviously we haven't, so that's great.
Nothing negative. Nothing but positive.
Brittany, if you decide to change the route, would you give us a heads up?
Absolutely.
That was a yes for people online. Yep. Okay, great. Any other comments? Well, thank you very much. Thanks for coming back. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous. Okay.
It's fun hearing the ice cream truck come.
Okay, number 2, selection and approval of a capital planning contractor. We have in our packets a number of pages to have been read. I'm assuming everyone's gotten a chance to read this. Adele, do you have anything to add with this? At the microphone?
Yes.
I was told you were going to say something. That's why.
Okay. Adele Taplin, Economic and Community Development Director for the town of Morristown. This is part of the MPT grant that we received several months ago. It went out for RFP. Stone Shore was the only person who responded to the contract or to the RFP. And the contract's been thoroughly reviewed. It meets all the requirements. It is a consortium between Morristown and Johnson. Morristown is financially responsible and management of the grant. So that's why the contract is only written out to Morristown.
Okay, great.
Then there is a second contract that will be coming from LCPC as well, the Moyle County Planning Commission. They will be doing a small part both with Johnson and for the town of Morristown for public meetings and that type of so we're waiting out.
Right. And this is grant funded. 90% of it is grant funded.
Correct.
So we and Johnson are on the hook for the other 10%.
10%, and actually both towns agreed to do up to 15%. So depending on where the actual final amounts come in, that will be adjusted.
Okay. And if I'm remembering correctly, we are on the hook for 6% and Johnson's on the hook for 4%. Given the populations of those two towns, I think I read that in the packet. Okay. Any questions from the board?
When was this last done? This kind
Capital planning.
of, yes.
Again, we have, finance director has a capital plan that, I think could be improved. I believe in continuous improvement, so it isn't a critique of what is currently structured. And then for downtown designation, we did a capital plan, 5-year capital plan specifically for downtown designation. Part of this, we will be looking at surveying our equipment to make sure that we're capturing everything. I know for a fact that we're not capturing everything. If you look at our roadways, since I've been here, I've been looking at ways to not only identify but to mark GPS, various infrastructure. I don't know that we'll be able to do all of that with this grant, but this grant will go a long way in making our capital equipment, listing more vibrant, as well as our capital plan will strengthen it. And it will also better prepare us for utilizing Vermont Community Bond Bank, USDA for grants and low interest financing. So
To the extent of what is contracted, I don't think we've done anything similar.
Other questions? Okay, I don't believe we have a motion yet, do we?
No. I move to select Stone Shore Municipal Consulting LLC as a capital planning contractor for the development of asset inventories and capital improvement plans for a contract sum of $35,350 and authorize town manager Brent Raymond to sign for the professional services contract.
Thank you, Richard. Do we have a second?
Second.
So motion by Richard, second by George. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous. Okay, number 3, annual financial plan. This is our TA 60 form, I believe it is, that we need to submit every year. And that's in our packet as well. Brent, is there anything you want to add to what's in the packet?
So this was filled out a couple of weeks ago and meant to capture a moment in time. So it's already out of date because since then we've been awarded another 140,000. I don't recall the exact amount in state grant funding. So the purpose of this form is to fill it out annually for the state, so the state knows that the municipality is using taxpayer funds to invest in their infrastructure. Clearly doing this. I just want to let you all know that, this is one moment in time, and by the time it got to you all, it's already out of date since we got notice that we received another grant award.
Okay, thank you. I'll just add, it's been nice on the select board to hear of all these grants that are coming in lately. It's important that the townspeople understand that the town employees are working really hard to acquire money and bringing money in, and this is great. This is just one more example. I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the annual financial plan, town highways and state form TA 60 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026 and ending June 30, 2027.
Thank you, Richard. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion by Richard, a second by Rose. Any further discussion regarding the annual financial plan? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of the motions presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that would be unanimous. Morristown Conservation Commission. So we have a request for tree planting at the Oxbow Park, and it's also, I know we have a presentation here because it was in our packet, and Jerry Throne and Jim Pease are here, and I'm going to allocate 15 minutes to this presentation and get it out there. This is good. This is a good presentation, and I like what I saw in my packet, and I'd like you guys to have the opportunity to present this to the town and talk about what's going on at the Oxbow, or at least what the plan is. So I don't know who's starting.
Jerry Throne, Morristown. I'll just start off with giving just a little history about how this started, and it's actually a continuation of an earlier project where trees were planted in the Oxbow, which was the second of total of 3 projects that I'm aware of. The first one was before my time. But as it was relayed to me, the first planting occurred on the west side, and the floods of 23 and 24 it did some damage, but some of the trees there stayed in place. So Jim was a former member of the Conservation Commission. He no longer lives in Morristown, so he can no longer be on the commission. But he came to us and asked us if commission would consider purchasing trees that the Lamoille County Conservation District had available, and we discussed it as a group at one of our last MCC meeting, and it was approved. So Jim put together, with help of Sarah Skelding from, I think it was Sarah, right? Yeah, from Conservation District. And so I'm going to turn it over to Jim to present the show.
Thank you, Jerry. Come on up, Jim. Give us a little bit of a lesson on river and ecology.
Right. You're prepared for it. I'll try and move through it. It's 20 slides long. So my name is Jim Healy with the Lamoille County Conservation District. So we have trees. The nursery of the district owns up in on Coal Hill Road has these trees already to be planted, and they need to move these out to get them planted so they can start new trees. And they have a new greenhouse that's been grant funded, and so we offered these trees to the Conservation Commission at a bargain basement price. and it'll be about $750, I think, for no, 75 trees at $350, so sorry.
Right.
$375. So I'm just wanted to walk you through sort of a quick presentation on what we're doing with the trees and why we're doing it. So as you know, we're in the River watershed, Morrisville, you can barely see it, but there's a little dot there and out in the center. We have a fair amount of woodland above us and below us. We can move ahead to the forest of the upper watershed is roughly 25 to 60% of the entire watershed. And so it isn't, I guess, because I got a few comments from various people, there are a lot of trees in this watershed, but unfortunately, there are not many along the flatter parts of the watershed, including the oxbow and any of the floodplain, which is one reason why so much soil is moving downriver. The forest community up in the upper watershed is a combination of spruce, fir, hardwoods, hemlock, just a large number of different species of trees. There's also another forest type is the wetland area, which is pretty much what the oxbow was or is, and around the areas around it before it was turned into farming. And that if you go to the next slide, that vegetation is largely there's 6 or 7 different classifications in this watershed, but mostly in this area, in the central area of Morristown and the Lamoille, it's the northern hardwoods. It's the silver maple sensitive fern population and the red maple black ash. That's the type of forest typically in this area. If you go to the next slide, I want to mention just as a heads up that all of the farmland in the watershed and pretty much in the state is required to have buffers on their farm fields, and in particular cornfields, which are most sensitive to erosion. And the maximum, there are multiple different farms. If you go to the next slide, the practices require a minimum 25-foot buffer on the cultivated land. It does allow for the state's recommended agricultural practice. It does allow for harvesting of wood for a farmer as a source of income if they choose to. They're not allowed to, pull up the roots, and they're not allowed to add compost and fertilizer except when the tree is planted. But other than that, they are allowed to make an income from removing those trees. So, and that has spawned this whole new field of agroforestry, which we'll see if it takes off. But it is a source of money for the farmer. Trees improve water quality through a variety of practices. They reduce flooding, obviously. They reduce erosion. They trap and filter sediment that's caught in the ground and allowed to soak into the ground. They also provide shade for fish. And overall, they increase the diversity of vegetation along the stream, including new species of, not new species, but different species with different fruits, and provide different sources of habitat for whatever it is, woodpeckers, ducks, squirrels, a variety of animals. So the whole effort to increase planting and vegetation along rivers and streams, and as well as in other areas of the state, is just to slow down that runoff, soak it into the ground, and hopefully infiltrate it into the soil so it doesn't move downstream. There are other benefits as well. The ones they talked about, habitat, there's carbon sequestration in the wood. Then there's the benefit of, and particularly in the Oxbow's case, of providing a wooded area that people can walk their dogs through, hike through, portage in and out of. If you go to the next slide. So that's basically what we're talking about, is planting a buffer of about 100 feet along the edge of the river, from the river's edge out 100 feet, which would include all, at least on the Oxbow side, all of the high hazard area. The next slide. One other possibility that's been discussed with the community last fall was the idea of not planting any trees at all, but allowing the area to naturally revegetate like an old cornfield would. The difficulty with this is that it would take 15 to 20 years to establish any kind of woody growth of any height on the land. So the idea of planting the trees is just to accelerate that process. And then again, we're talking about riparian buffers. That's what we're talking about. Not, obviously not including the entire Oxbow portion of the lower terrace, and that's it. One thing to be reminded about with riparian buffers is, you can go to the next slide, Judy. Yeah, or you can go to the next slide. Probably get too many slides there. Is that not all buffers are the same, and that you do have to look at what you're planning for. And obviously the Oxbow is a recreation area. It's mostly used for, besides with the upper terrace being used for music and events, it's used for walking and possibly biking and canoeing. And so I think the goal would be to set up this 100-foot wide, or 100 feet from the edge of the bank buffer, to include some trails, some access points to the river, possibly some kind of birding stations. But I think our goal wasn't to, like, open it up for golf frisbee. And I mean, it's possible you could do golf frisbee in there, but the idea would be to let it naturally come back as much as possible. And I guess one other concern is that the upstream side of the Oxbow, where the river breaks over the peninsula and crashes through, that's more likely to require possibly some more substantial material than trees, like rocks, riprap. And whether the state would allow it, whether it could be done, I guess is we won't know until if we do in fact apply for it. What we're doing with this project today, or this year, is simply to expand a little bit. We started on the on the northwest side, and we're expanding forward to the north side. And again, we're only talking about 75 feet. So that's pretty much what. Oh, sorry. Let's make this a little too long. So some of the species we're planting are the aquatic species, the shrub willow. The next species, the red osier dogwood. These are all native species that don't require any. They can withstand this environment. They're they're not non-native. And they generally will, especially the smaller ones, the red osier. If you go to the next slide, the serviceberry, some of these shrubbery type items will regenerate after flood damage. Because the root stock is still in place, it's just the ices or the flooding has damaged anything above right now. So again, in a nutshell, these are some of the species we're looking at. Chokeberry, red dogwood, Hageman's cranberry. They're all typical species found in this area where they were allowed to be native and where they weren't removed for corn or oh yes. Area is another one. These are wildlife suitable species for children. So if you have any questions,
Well, thank you, Jim. Thank you very much. It's good to get this, and yeah, I think the planning of the lower oxbow makes a lot of sense to us. It's also worth noting that in our packet we have a letter from Scott Johnstown, who's the manager, the village manager for the village of Morristown, and he is in very strong support of this of these plantings. There's been some suggestion that in the past that the plantings might harm the hydroelectric facilities downstream, but in fact, as Scott's letter points out, it's just the opposite. The plantings are in fact much more favorable for the hydroelectric facilities because they will help to stabilize stream banks and reduce erosion and the amount of silt and sand and gravel that gets pushed downstream. So nice to have that in the packet. At this point, I don't think we're looking to take any action on this tonight. We're just getting this presentation. I guess one question I have is when the planning would take place in May, would take place this month?
Yeah, I believe so. In May, and probably with the elementary school kids.
Okay. So just for those online, it would take place in May, and Morristown Elementary School students would be involved in this? Great, thank you. Any questions from the board for Jim or Jerry? Jerry?
Can I say something? I think we're looking for permission from the town, so we know,
Okay,
whether this will go
I
forward.
didn't see a motion, but that was my mistake. Thank you, Jerry.
I've got one.
Go ahead.
I just wondered, I was on Route 100 today, just north of Lowell, and I think I saw a similar project going on. I think I don't know what that stream bank is, but the flooding by the Reboyne farm, I think is where it was. I think.
Yeah, it was up 100. I haven't seen that. But,
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't go far enough.
I think it's just past the Cajun snack bar on the left-hand side where that field always floods. And I think I saw something similar to this. There.
Reaches of the Mississippi.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Reaches, yeah.
Yeah. I have a motion.
Yeah, go ahead.
I move to approve the planting of trees proposal in Oxbow Park by the Conservation Commission.
Great. I have a motion. Thank you, Richard. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion by Richard and a second by George. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That's unanimous. Number 5, review and approve. Thank you, gentlemen. Review and approve trustees of public funds and investment policy. We had the policy in our packet to read. Sarah, are you here to speak to this? If necessary?
If necessary.
Are there any questions? It seems straightforward to me, but I may have missed something.
Is this a new policy or is this a renewal of a policy?
Sarah Haskins, trustee of public funds. This is a new policy. So the town of Morristown has an investment policy that we've been reviewing, and in reviewing that one and the next item on the agenda, when I went to the VLCT website to find model policies, this was on it, and it occurred to me that we didn't have a policy. There's really not much money that the trustees of public funds hold. It's a CD of $3,000. It was established in 1983 when the Lamoille Grammar School sold the Chesapeake Hall, and the legislature, there were 5 towns involved in the county, and it was split. I think Morristown's the smallest. I think other towns got more. And the legislature said that the sales that each town got had to be held in trust for benefit of their respective town school district. So basically we just have this $3,000 CD. Every year we give the school about $20 in interest. I've actually been working with the other towns, trying to see if we can turn over all of the funds to the school, because we no longer have a town school district. It's now we're unified unions. So it's a project I've been working on for a long time.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Any other questions, comments from the board? We are looking for action on this.
I move to approve the trustees of public funds investment policy as presented.
Okay, thank you, Richard. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion by Richard, second by Rose. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That will be unanimous. Review and approve the cemetery perpetual funds investment policy. This is also a new policy. I think Sarah's here to answer any questions. Or Brent. Either.
So, as you know, Morristown Cemetery Association has dissolved, handed over operations and funds in the town of Morristown. Pleasant View Cemetery Association, the fees, Pleasant View Cemetery, the fees will be coming directly to the town now. So we need an investment policy for all 8 of these town-owned cemeteries. Since we're maintaining and operating them, and expect to be receiving additional burial funds from all 8.
Okay. Thank you. Other questions?
I think I've got one for Brent. I'm on page 60 of our packets, but page 2 of the policy, where it speaks to pooling, except we're prohibited by law, cash reserves and balances from all funds. I'm quite sure what we mean is the cemetery funds, correct? We're not pooling with funds other than cemetery funds, or are we?
No, we're not, and we will be well, that's it. We're not pooling with anything else, and I don't know if we've discussed whether we would pool Pleasant View with the other 7. I hadn't thought of that until just now. And Sarah, do you see any reason why we wouldn't pool with all?
I have to think about that. At the moment, they're set up. Pleasant View has its own investment account, and Morristown, it's currently sitting in the money market at the Union Bank. We are hoping to open an Edward Jones account, but we have not been able to because we need this policy in place. So I don't know if it can be pooled. It's probably more of a Tina question. And then the interest tracked separately and allocated to each of them. If
I wasn't trying to raise a concern other than a clarification of whether we're talking about monies outside the cemetery funds. It's solely cemetery funds. And to me, the internal conversation is a management issue, not a board issue. But we are talking about cemetery funds.
Cemetery funds.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, George. Any other comments or discussion?
I move to approve the cemetery perpetual funds investment policy as presented.
Okay, thank you, Richard. I have a motion. Do I have a second? So motion by Richard, second by George. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous. Okay, number 7, consideration of approving the amended social service agency appropriation policy. These are the social service agencies that the town votes upon at town meeting. It's usually a lengthy list of them. And this is an update of that policy. It's on page 64 in our packet. I have, I guess, one question. On the bottom of page 65, it talks about, and the policy talks about different scenarios. One of the scenarios is for first-time applicants, and that they must present before the select board. I'm just kind of wondering, at Pi Day, we have a number of those social service agencies that present. Would that be considered a presentation in front of the select board?
Yeah, that is
Okay,
additional.
okay.
Well, now,
Yeah, we've done that for 2 years now,
Great.
3 years now. Great. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because not that it needed to say that in here, but that would be an appropriate time to present before us. I would entertain a motion. Oh, go ahead.
I'll make the motion then. I move to approve the amended social service agency appropriation policy as presented.
Okay, thank you, Richard. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
So motion by Richard, second by George. Go ahead, Richard.
Is there much, I didn't really see anything that was very different in here than it's been in the past. Is there anything substantially different in there? Or maybe I just missed something.
Yeah. It's slightly, the bulk of it is just cleaning up flow, making it read better. The one major addition is the 7, the name change. Judy and I have been, approached in the past sometimes about questions about name changes. A scenario would, and how would we handle that? So a scenario would be, for example, if we had a YMCA in town, we don't have a YMCA. And their name is the Young Men's Christian Association. And what if they decided that they wanted to rebrand and still be the YMCA, but they were going to be the Youth and Movement Cemetery? Community is not cemetery, community association.
That's a shit.
Wow.
So same mission, same purpose, serving the same community that they petitioned for, but their name is still YMCA, but different. Do we force them to go back and do a new petition or not? So just trying to clear up some what ifs scenarios.
Okay. Thank you, Richard.
Sarah, while you're there, does this policy exclude any of the existing social services agencies that like dogs, Justice for Dogs and all that? They still would fit into this policy. We're not excluding any of the existing requesters.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's not changing anything that we're currently doing in the policy that you have set forth. It just would be as if Justice for Dogs wanted to change their name to Justice for Dogs and Cats. Then it would give me and Judy direction on how to respond and move forward.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Other questions?
I have two questions. With the name change, is there also either criteria established or proof needed to show that the mission is remaining the same with the organization?
So they have to fill out an annual form every year that talks about their mission statement and gives information. So I think it would be clear, we could compare last year's form that they filled out to this year's form and making sure that it was the same mission and same information. If it's not, then I think we would tell them they needed to get a new petition. And if we really couldn't tell, we'd bring it to you as a board because it's really your decision. And Judy and I are just following your policy that you set forth.
Under 4, guideline on appropriations, you set that as a general guideline. The select board will aim to maintain the appropriations at or below 0.5% of the proposed general fund operating budget. What happens if it goes above that? It begs a question, and it's like there's no answer to that question in this policy.
Right. So I didn't add that in. I haven't talked to Brent and Judy about it. I don't know if you can have an aim, you can have a goal. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen. I don't think until we have something written in the charter that voters approve that says you're going to do something 100%. I think you can have you can have a goal, but right now you have to receive any petition that comes and is binding and has the legal amount of required signatures. They have to be allowed on the ballot. So if it goes over, you don't really have any control of this until and if you decide to put something in the charter that the voters approve. So.
Say that last little bit again.
Yeah.
I don't believe that you can have a goal, you can aim to have that amount, but I don't think that you can cap how much you give social service agencies unless you write something in the charter that is then voted on and approved by the voters. So that's a goal that the town could have, the select board. We would like to keep our social services at this amount so that a new agency going out isn't going to request $100,000 where the majority of the other ones have $1,000. It gives them a guideline, but I don't think it's an enforceable number. It's just an aim, a goal.
That you're saying that you don't think that the 0.5% is enforceable?
No, I don't. But I'm not an attorney. That's just my interpretation.
Well, it does say, I mean, Sarah, I think you're right. As a general guideline, the select board will aim. This is what they're aiming to do. It doesn't say as a definite guideline, the select board will not exceed. It doesn't say anything like that at all. So it's just a goal. It's a target.
So if I've done my math right, and I think I have, 0.5% of a $10 million budget would be 50,000.
Don't make me do math right
That's
now.
correct. I agree.
Okay, so 50, how many off the top of your head? I should have looked at the.
We have close to 100,000.
We have numbers that are requested already.
Each. Oh, no, each they're around 1,000, 2,000.
But the total would be close to 100.
The total is.
So we're talking about a total request here.
Actually, it's around,
Yes, yeah.
yeah, I mean, in there.
It's like 89,000.
It's 89,000 our
Yeah.
current budget.
I was rounding.
But I believe this is the total, George. This isn't individual.
Total appropriate social services, okay.
Social services appropriations.
Total, yeah, but not total, but S and yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the total.
Okay.
And if you're not comfortable with that line, you could also approve this policy and remove that section?
It doesn't have any teeth, right? If you're saying it's not enforceable, it's not, and we're clearly over that number anyway right now.
I know some residents, some might have concern if you just remove it. So I'm just letting you know, like, I understand where the select board is coming from, but if you just remove it because we're already over this guideline, they might follow up with you, asking you to reconsider. I mean, we already have people that don't think that taxpayer money should be used at all for social service funding.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Right. But I think this will bleed into it if you strike it totally.
But it is a little concerning to think that we've,
You can
I mean, it's not
89%.
just last year that we're over. It's like, we've been over
That's
probably every year since I've been on the board,
Oh, like, since I, for the town.
probably for the last 10.
I mean, you could amend it to 1% and then it's a closer.
That's
I would say
exactly what I'm thinking.
that's more realistic.
Yeah. 1%. I mean, that is where we're at.
But I
We're up just under that.
would agree with Brent. I have heard many times from concerned citizens on it. I don't think it's necessarily today or the topic for today, but I do think if a charter committee is comes back into play, I think it's something that the charter committee could be tasked to look more into and see what and if other towns have the policies.
And we are planning on bringing that charter committee back for some other reasons as well. Okay. Well, I see a hand up there. Kristen? Is that Kristen Fogdell?
Yep. Yes. Just having trouble operating my computer tonight. I'm sorry. This is actually a question about 6. So, and I realize it would be at the board's discretion whether I can even ask it. I think it's a simple question, but I wanted to make sure that you are done with 7 before I just couldn't get my button to go fast
Yeah,
enough.
let's finish. We'll finish 7 and then we'll let the board decide whether we want to go back to 6. How's that?
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
I would say make that 0.5%, 1%, just to.
Would you like to make a motion?
Well, I guess I can make a motion.
With that one change?
We make all the changes all at once.
Is there
Are there other
anything
changes?
else?
I haven't heard Kristen's question.
She's out.
No, she's talking about another
Oh, I'm
agenda.
sorry.
Oh,
Judy, okay, I didn't know there was any other changes.
She's talking about 7.
The only thing I was gonna suggest,
Folks,
the only thing I was gonna suggest is that the policy was done October 2023. Is a date in the bottom of that policy. So most of you board members, I think were to George and I think you were here, Don, George and Richard, I think. I don't know about Leah. Laura and Chris. So you can go back and look at the meeting and find out why maybe you voted back then to have it the way it's written today. That's not anything Sarah and I changed. Sarah and I only added 7. So that one was on your October policy that you approved less than 2 years or more than 2 years ago. I just wanted to point that out to you.
yeah, thank you. But I must say, I don't remember discussing this. I don't remember this coming up.
No, that doesn't mean it wasn't there, but
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
But I think it would make sense for us to change the number, knowing that what we're asking the taxpayers to look at every year exceeds that 0.5%.
It doesn't make any sense not to. I mean, it's happening and it's happened for years to put this in with a number that we, as a percent that we know if we're going to enforce it, we can't enforce it. It's going to ask a bunch of the social services agencies to reduce their monies, and then we're in the middle of how much does the agency ask for. Right. And I don't want to put the board. I don't think that's where the board should be.
So
Yeah, you sure can.
I don't think unless there's something in the charter that you can tell the social service agencies, if they've gone out and done a petition for a set amount and the voters approved it, you can't reduce that.
And I see.
Just to clarify, that would mean that that would be the amount that would go on the ballot, though, that voters would then vote for.
Correct.
Okay.
When we had town meeting with a floor vote, voters could discuss it and change it on the floor, but now that we're on Australian ballot, that's whatever was, however the petition was written is how it needs to be on the ballot.
And can we turn those petitions down?
No.
If they have
The select board can't, the voters can.
So basically, we have a line in here that doesn't really mean very much. I mean, if, let's say, twice as many groups next year come to us and they have their petitions filled out, they have all their signatures, and instead of $80,000 or $90,000, they're asking for, I know this is foolish, but they're asking for $400,000 in total. We have to go to the voters with it anyways.
We do, and then the voters have to decide.
So it makes it,
Then the only way that it could be different is if you have some language in your charter that, again, the voters would still vote on that. So ultimately, the voters have all the decision making.
I mean, unless I'm reading this wrong, this whole paragraph seems meaningless. I mean,
Well,
we're aiming to do something that we can't aim to do.
That's what I said, but there's concerns around that. So I think
Yeah.
we leave it in here as it is until we make changes to the charter where it actually does have teeth. And we change that from 0.5% to 1%. And we address this when we make changes to the charter.
Is given history. And then as you bring up the charter is where you have the conversation about that.
My concern with that is that we're already over.
That is the guideline and that we have no enforcement. We have no way to enforce it. So
Doesn't say shall.
it doesn't
Doesn't-
show.
yeah.
It says
Okay.
the guideline and what any.
All right.
Before you make the motion, I interpreted Kristen Fogdall as saying she wanted to address number 7 of this policy,
Yeah.
not number 7 of the agenda, so you might want clarification before you make the motion.
Kristen, did you want to talk about number 6 on the agenda?
Yes, it was a super quick question
what I
that
thought.
just
Okay.
didn't get, yeah.
Yeah, we're on number 7. So we'll address that in a second.
I move to approve the amended social service agency appropriation policy as presented.
Thank you, Richard. Do I have a second?
Second.
So a motion by Richard and a second by Rose. I do think that's the wisest way to proceed at this point. Yeah, let's go. Just to leave it.
Prior to the discussion, there's already been the motions,
Okay.
exactly what you said, so.
Well, I'm not gonna-
I need folks to continue discussion or go to vote.
Yeah, I'm not going to accept the second motion then. Let's.
Well, then don't.
So. There's only one motion.
That's the same
original
as the
motion.
second one.
Which is the same as the second one. But. Okay, are we any further discussion regarding the first motion?
No.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 That would be
It's
unanimous. I believe. Is the board okay with returning to number 6 to hear what Kristen Fogdell has to say? We've already taken action on number 6.
I have concerns. No, I mean, I hear Kristen and I know she's gonna ask a basic question, but do we set a precedent for the next meeting and the meeting after that when somebody comes in late and wants to go back to another item? I'm sorry, Kristen, it's not about you.
There's already been a motion. So there can be.
I understand that.
I would say, Kristen, George, I would agree. Kristen, would you like to address your concern in an email to the board?
Sure, and it's not actually related to the policy that you voted on. It's adjacent to that. So I can
So
do
I
that.
would say, yeah, send us an email, please blind copy each of us separately and or we can deal with it that way.
Or
Sure.
make your comments to the next select board meeting during community comments.
Yeah. And
Either way, I'll just send you guys an email. Sorry.
thank you, Kristen. Thank you very much. Okay, number 8 Consideration to use the local option tax funds for balance of highway paving expectations and sidewalk project for summer 2026. We talked about this a little bit at our last select board meeting, so we're just hopefully tidying things up here a little bit. The community did vote in favor of local options tax, voted in favor of each of the different LOT entities. There's been a lot of discussion. There was a lot of discussion leading up to that vote about how the board was suggesting that those funds be spent. And I think it is safe to say that infrastructure topped the list. And this agenda item is just trying to make that clear for the voters, taxpayers in Morristown of how we want to move some of that LOT money forward next year. So I would maybe entertain a motion to get the conversation started so we know exactly what we're talking about.
I move to authorize the transfer of anticipated revenues from the local option tax fund account in October of 2026 and January of 2027 to the Bridge and Infrastructure Fund account in the amount of $260,000 per transfer in a total or for a total of $520,000.
Thank you, Richard. Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion by Richard and a second by George. And just to be clear, since that might not be, we do have local option tax revenues coming in next year. They're anticipated. Our first chunk of money from the state will come in October, and our second will come in January. So that's why we're using those dates. We won't see any LOT monies until October. We have to live through the first quarter before they collect all the money and send us that money. So in October, we will get some monies. And if our estimates are close, and we have every reason to believe that they're quite conservative estimates, we should be bringing in somewhere in the order of around 300,000, if not more, dollars after that first quarter. That would be the average per quarter anyways. And this is $260,000 for that first quarter. So that it is reasonable in that regard. And it also puts over $500,000 towards bridge and infrastructure. And that's, again, what we've had many conversations about. And so I'm glad we're doing this. I'm glad we're clarifying this for the voters. Any other discussion? Any comments?
Yeah, I guess I'd comment on it because there was a lot of discussion last 2 weeks ago, last meeting. What this does is it allows us to stay on the 5-year plan for our roads, for our bridges, for things that need addressing right now. If we don't allocate these monies, the roads are going to get worse, and we're going to do it next year, and that work will be more expensive. It's going to be more expensive anyways because it's inflation. It's going to be more expensive because the roads deteriorate more, the bridges deteriorate more, everything's going to deteriorate more. So we need to deal with this, and we've got a good projection of what the monies are going to be, as Don said, from a very trusted and conservative estimates from Jeffrey Carr. Will we know in fact what's going to come in until we see a whole year of cycle? Probably not. Should it be here? It should. And this allows us to get through another year of the 5-year plan. And every year we get away from that 5-year plan, the more expensive it's going to be one way or another. You can't beat it. So that's why I support this. It's using funds that have not physically come into our hands yet. However, we're pretty sure we're going to get them, and we should. And then we move forward. And I think this is the most fiscally responsible thing. I'm using Brent's words from conversation we had today, but it's the most fiscally responsible thing we can do for the town is to invest in our roads and our bridges and our sidewalks and LLT funds is allowing us to do this without once again putting our hands up and saying, please, taxpayers, can you give us extra pennies? We may need that for other things, for equipment, for equipment funds for the fire, for EMS, for whomever, or for the highway department. But for the infrastructure, this keeps us on track. And right now, as we all know, we're behind. The roads were let go, the bridges were let go, and the proper work was not done. This is keeping us on the track to catch up. Other than that, we fall even further behind. So thank you.
Thank you, George. It's just worth noting that in April of 2027, we'll be anticipating another large check from the state.
Yep.
Other comments?
Just do these numbers reflect the most recent grant that we just heard that we're receiving?
Which numbers are you referring to, Russ?
The ones on the project timeline and cash flow for the bridges and infrastructure?
Yes. So at the top of this one, this is the most up to date as of, again, I think I emailed you Friday evening about another grant award. But if you look at Fabro Bridge, we have a contract that we'll put in front of the select board next week, next select board meeting, for $286,080 for Fabro Bridge. 200,000 of that is being covered by grant money. Sidewalks, we've already captured $75,000 in grant reimbursement for $85,500 worth of sidewalk improvements and additions. Paving, the bid came in at $818,658 from Pike, as you know, and we have a grant reimbursement of $200,000 of that. On Friday, because of our now being having a designated downtown again, we went out and requested a grant for connectivity on a section of road that we received multiple complaints, especially during the winter, for safety reasons. And for that grant application, we reached out to one contractor and got a quote of $134,000. We think that would be high. And we received notification that we received $125,000 grant for that. So when we talk about fiscally responsible, it's not only about inflationary costs, not only about deferred maintenance and the multiplier effect that we've talked to you all in the community about over and over again over these last few months, but it's also about capturing these grant funds so that this town can use that as part of our to offset costs for all this deferred maintenance. So to not use LOT to match these, I think would be the opposite of prudent.
Other questions, comments?
I'm in agreement with George. I don't disagree at all. My only thought is, can we authorize and commit to using the local option tax fund account in October and January to transfer it to the bridge and infrastructure fund account without putting an exact dollar amount? I mean, we're dedicating that this is what we're going to be spending our first two LOT revenue checks will be on bridge and infrastructure. What happens if it's more than 260,000 in October?
Well, we're hoping that it will be.
Correct.
And there'll be other, we did, if you recall, we removed a half-cent for our equipment fund from this last budget. So the select board can consider that. We can pay down debt that was used. This town has used debt previously for paving that we're still paying off. We can look at high interest debt. There's multiple things that we can use the additional funds for. To save the taxpayers money and to decrease their property taxes.
Which is why you put the dollar amount in. Okay.
Well, you could say 100%, but then that sort of, we'd have to go amend the motion if you all want to use any of October or January for something else that will be prudent for you as a select board to save the taxpayers money.
I see it. I don't disagree. It just seems strange to be committing to a dollar amount. We don't. I can get it.
So the real question is if it comes in less than 260,000. There's one way to, I mean, the motion could be amended in the amount of up to $260,000. And that would take care of it. So if it does come into 250, we would put 250 towards it.
You're sort of thinking the opposite way though, like the other funds that come in.
Yeah, and I see what your goal is. Yeah, I just think it's strange not knowing. We just have estimates, but it's like counting your chickens before they're hatched, and so it seems a little uncomfortable to me to be so specific with a dollar amount. It's not how I manage my household budget, so I manage the town budget in a similar way. So I'm more comfortable with the up to.
It's a really good question, Leah. I guess I
understand, and I totally support what we're trying to get to, what we're trying to do here. I totally support it, on board with it. But not 100% comfortable with the wording of it, and that's what I'm struggling.
Well, if you chose to say 100% of October and January's, that puts us in a position of
no flexibility to use that other thing.
But it also puts us in a position to have money in our infrastructure fund, because we want to go out. We don't want to wait until March to be able to go out to bid, because we want to be first in line. We want to be one of those communities that's first in line, and we get the most aggressive bids on our RFP for our roads.
And if we know in January what we have in that budget.
Now I doubt we'll have $800,000.
Sure.
And there'll be inflationary pressures, so it could be $900,000 next year to do a certain segment of roads. But if you did 100%, that would be money in the piggy bank, so that when we go out to RFP, we know, well, we go through the budget process, we know, are we going to ask for 2 cents again in an article?
I guess I'm not comfortable with 100%, because then we're committing the whole kit and caboodle, whatever comes in. We've come up with this number of 260,000, which seems reasonable. It takes care of the concern from 2 weeks ago, which was that $218,000 we were worried about. Our estimate is from Jeff Carr, somewhere in the order of about $325,000 coming in. His estimate was 1.3 million for a year. So that's $325,000. If we exceed the 260, everything's great. If if the check is for more than 260, it does allow us to do some of the stuff you're talking about, Brent, paying down debt, doing other things that the town needs done. And we're hoping that that's the case. If it comes in less than 260, that seems to be the concern. So yeah, I would suggest the wording up to, and if we get more, we get more. And we can put that we can spend it on some of these other things or put it in the piggy bank.
I think I'm more comfortable with it 100% going into roads and bridges. Because that has been our focus in all the conversations. And if we get to October and there's an issue, you could bring it to the select board and we can change. But if it works out, like most people think to be pretty positive, that it's going to be more than that, we've given roads and bridges enough money to have a good ability to go out for bids in January, and then we have the January revenue coming in. That can then be used possibly everything else in debts. But if we get into a situation, we can change our motion closer into November.
So you're.
So I would say
100%
100% of October
and leave January alone for right now.
and leave January alone right now. Well, comfortable with that.
Okay. I wasn't getting what you said.
What?
I wasn't getting there with what you, until you just said that, until you just.
I would say like to take the dollar amounts out because
Well-
it's all hypothetical. A
Well, we-
good estimate, but I would take the dollar amount out and just say 100% of the October.
So we'll just, so this is my question on that then. So we'll just say that we get $300,000 in October. That's what comes in. So we commit that 300,000 to bridge and infrastructure.
Fund.
And then come January, when we get that checked, do we reduce that number down to 210 or $220,000?
I think then we see
Perhaps, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like are we,
possibly, because then we're gonna see what else do we have that we could
But I don't know
address or need to address.
I don't know what the difference would be unless the number falls short of the estimate. And that's, I would be fine with doing that, but conversely, in January, we don't know what we're gonna need to.
Well,
Funds to go.
Mid-October, we will know.
An idea of
we-
what a quarter is worth.
We'll have an idea what the first quarter is, and the paving should be done. I mean, the billing might not be wrapped up, and there is an escalator in any of these contracts with pavers based upon oil prices. So, and then we might challenge some of their work and ask them to deduct. Jordan was really good about that last year. So what I'm saying is by the end of October, we should have pretty good idea of what the total cost will be, even with an escalator built in. And we will have received our first payment. So in November, the select board can bring up, but one of the agenda topics would be, okay, what are we going to utilize January funds for? And if there were still funds that needed to be used to pay, then we could use those funds for a remaining payment to Pike, who's already been approved by the select board, and then other options.
Was there a reason for considering both October and January?
Yeah, because even with the grant funds, we don't think that we will have enough. If 300,000 comes in October 15th, that won't be enough. And Jordan has had initial conversations with Pike about their extending without any cost to the town, final payment until January. So we just wanted to make sure that we had a number for LOT that was committed for the minimum amount of the delta between Bridge and Infrastructure Fund grants.
But that one payment in October will do that. We'll take care of that delta. Because it was 218 2 weeks ago.
It's 218 two weeks ago, but we're going to be putting Favorable Bridge in front of you next select board meeting. The reason why we didn't do it this week is because the timeline for getting agendas ready, wasn't ready. So.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, but I'm not sure.
I'm okay with putting 100% in if it's only October, but not for October and January. It sounds like where the conversation is going right now. We're just going to wait till mid-October and we're going to modify whatever we're talking about tonight when we get a better idea of what the target is.
Of how much revenue is more actual for a quarter period. As right now, we have a very conservative estimate.
So it sounds like we will be modifying.
Yeah, but it makes sense to do that. And
I'm not even modifying. You have one, if you do it as Leah recommended, you have a motion tonight. And then in late October, November, we have another LOT agenda item based upon if there's any infrastructure costs that weren't paid. And then other considerations.
It seems to me there are two goals we're trying to reach with with this motion. One is to provide a support of funding from LOT for the town to move forward with right now the paving contract, soon the Fabro Bridge contract, assuming that we vote for that, and anything else that the town puts before us. That's one purpose for this motion. The second purpose of this motion, I think, is to comply with the local option tax fund use policy that notifies the community of what we're trying to do with these monies. And I think we're achieving both of them almost either way that we do this. I guess I'm fine with going with the 100%, but it would seem to me if we do get 300,000 in, and then we just draw the rest in January, the surplus, I'm not sure if that's the right word, the excess funding that is, if we allocate 100%, and that's at some point becomes more money than the projects needed, in my mind, that should be back in LOT.
Correct.
And then the board can do whatever it wants to with LOT again in public session so that the community
Right.
knows what we're doing with the LOT funds.
Correct, based on the use policy, correct.
Right. So I'm not sure, Leah, I'm not sure that I have a concern with the 100%. I don't have any concern with the 520. I think we're doing both things with this motion. The community knows what we're doing. We're giving support for up to 520 right now. If it's less than that, then we'll have to deal with that. If the total cost doesn't need the 520 with all the projects between the Fabro Bridge, between the paving, between the sidewalk work, if we need more LT funds, then we're going to have to sit down as a board and say, Brent's going to run a report and say, you know, this happened, that happened, oil drove the price of paving and whatnot up. And there's a escalator, as he said, that now we need another 20,000 and whatever the magic number is to close out the project. But we need to do that in front of the town, but basically we're bound to it. I mean, we got to find 20 grand, whether we find it in LOT or we don't do something else in the budget. We got to find the money. We got to pay the contract. So I think I'm more comfortable with it as it stands, but I wouldn't object to the 100% in January if that's a really strong point for you, Lee. Because it's not enough. It's not enough to cover all the projects. So we are going to spend the 260 in January. LOT will transfer to cover costs, but not all the costs because Jordan is smartly negotiating contracts that have final payments after the January LOT comes in. So, but I think we're achieving the two goals that I believe were set out with either version of the motion that's being discussed.
Anybody else? Come on up to the microphone. Just identify yourself and
Barry Jarrett, Morristown.
Thank you.
My question here is, when you did the budget for the paving and the bridges, why are we talking about excess dollars that are in excess of $260,000? I mean, why wasn't that in part of the budget? I mean, if the budget was $1 million and we're looking at 20% over, 20 to 25% over what the budget allowed. So I guess that's where I got a little confusion here is.
May I answer?
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
I think I understand your question, Jamie. So we knew that we would need approximately 6 cents as an approach going into the budget season to be able to move forward the second year of this 5-year paving and sidewalk plan. We also didn't know whether the LOT would pass or not, but we needed to go out, we needed to go out to bid. So to continue the 5-year plan. So rather than the 6 cents the select board went with 2 cents because 6 cents would have been too expensive for the taxpayers. And we just moved forward with an RFP, not knowing if local option tax would be approved. But we wanted to be out there so that we could, capture the best value for the residents. So the local option tax was approved. We can take 2 cents from the article, but we knew there'd be a delta.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So we're using the LOT to cover that delta. We also knew that we applied for multiple grants, but we knew that we wouldn't have that information in time for budget. So, and the grants are very competitive. It's very rare that we get grants 2 years in a row. Some of the grants that we've received. So, does that answer your question?
Yes and no.
Okay.
But I also believe that we need to be very cautious of how you think $300,000 for the first payment, because the way I view it is the monies that come in through LOT is not an even number divided in a yearly basis. So the first payment could be only $200,000 based on the seasonality of business. And then comes another season, could be $600,000. And so we're playing with money that we really don't have, but we're assuming we're going to have it. So that's my reservations there. I mean,
to the worst case scenario is that with infrastructure needs, we can go out for funding by select board approval. And so worst case scenario is we would use a period like a bridge loan to be able to get the work done. Because if you look at the multiplier effect of these deferred maintenance, you're looking at between good, poor, very poor, like 600% cost increases. So even if worst case scenario, you had to take out a short-term bridge loan, you're saving the taxpayers money.
No, I understand that, but I just think, need to be very cautious on how we move forward with the dollars that we don't have, and I think ultimately need to have a contingency, and there's your contingency is by a bridge loan coming out. So I guess that's where I'm at.
So
Yeah, thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
And
suggest
yeah, I just want to say, Jamie, you do raise a good point in that second quarter of October, November, December. There's every reason to think that would be a higher quarter, but it raises the point that the quarters aren't going to be the same. Go ahead, Leah.
So split the difference, 100% of the anticipated revenues for October and up to 260,000 for January.
Yeah. I guess I guess I'm kind of liking the original motion because it does specify a dollar amount. And if it's up to, the 260 was originally a reasonable number. I don't think we're
up to 260.
Exactly right. So we just changed the motion to say up to 260 for October and up to 260 for January. That seems to take care of it.
Can I ask Brent a question?
Yeah.
I think it's germane to this conversation. We haven't signed the contract with Pike yet, right? We're negotiating it.
I don't.
Totally one of it.
It hasn't been signed though. He's still waiting for final confirmation.
So the question is, and maybe it's not, we don't know it yet. Does the payment schedule specifically for October and January?
There was no payment schedule included in the bid.
No, in the contract there will be though, right?
Thus far there is not, and we're waiting for Pike to respond.
Okay.
But we could ask them to put it in there.
Yeah, so there are still some moving pieces, obviously, to this. So if Pike were to say, 260 in doing October 30th, November 1, in time for us to get the money in process. We should be close to that, maybe have a surplus, maybe not. I mean, again, we don't know. And the balance due January 15th, at the end of January, once we've gotten our second quarter, that's one way to manage the demand on the LOT. Whether Pike is interested in, I mean, they're already stretching. They're going to pave in the spring, summer, and we're saying we'll pay in October, November, and January, and they're accepting it. At least we believe they are. I mean, they're being fairly generous with delays in funding and being paid for work done. But since we haven't got that step in the contract yet, it would be if we could match the motion for this to where at least we're trying to go in the contract. And we may not get there.
This does match where we're trying to go. It exactly matches where we're trying to go.
That's
what I'm looking for is the select board to move forward with something that sort of matches that, so that we don't have further delay with the contract and somebody gets in front of us.
Okay, so what we're looking at tonight is exactly what you're trying to negotiate with Pike for payments in October, January.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That clears it up for me.
Well, there's three payments, right? There's upon completion, then there's an October one and a January one.
Right. I'm talking about the October and the January.
Okay. Okay.
Because we're going to have grants and a whole lot of other stuff.
Well, the grants
to throw at them to begin with.
The grants first. Right.
Yeah.
Do we want to stick with the original motion, or do we want to put in up to?
Yeah, I would be fine with inserting up to in front of $260,000. But
would you do it for both October and January? So it'd be so the last line would read in the amount of up to 260 per transfer for a total of up to 520.
I don't think it makes enough of a difference to not do it for both.
Okay. So who seconded the motion?
Sure.
Me, I think.
George,
would you be okay with that change in language?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I can read this again just so we know, and then get conversation on this. So it would read, I move to authorize the transfer of anticipated revenues from the local options tax fund account in October 2026 and January 2027 to the Bridge and Infrastructure Fund account in the amount of up to $260,000 per transfer for a total of up to $520,000.
Do we need the up to under 520?
I wondered that when I read that. What do you think?
No.
Up to 260, can't go over 520, can it? Okay, so we just need the first up to. Discussion.
No, no, I'm not sure it does. So if we give them 240 the first quarter, because that's all that comes in. So that's all we got to transfer, so we give them 240. Now we owe them 540. We owe them not 260, we owe them 300 because we shorted them 20 and 30,000.
We owe them 280.
We owe them 280. But if this, we say 260 to transfer, we can't give them 280.
Yes, you can, because then you just come back to here and you change your
Wait.
motion.
Right.
You can do that.
It's the same,
Got that fallback, right?
right?
And we'll know more in October too, George.
Just clean it up.
We'll know more in October. We will know more in October.
Absolutely.
Where we're.
For sure.
So we don't need the second up to.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Any other discussion? Do you want me to read this one more time?
No.
No.
Did you hear it?
I heard you twice.
I'm willing to read it.
No, you're good.
Okay. Any last discussion comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That would be 4-1. Okay.
But I support what we're doing. I don't like the wording.
Okay, I'm going to move on to number 9. Mr. Mumley, you walked in here just a little less than a half an hour ago, and I was thinking, what wonderful timing. Because you were up next. I wasn't anticipating a half hour on number 8. So number 9 is Jersey Heights subdivision stormwater improvements, a proposal review and potential award. So Tyler Mumley's here to discuss a couple of bids that we were given. I assume that there's just the 2 bids. Is that correct, Tyler? Just the 2 bids at this point?
That's correct.
Okay. So what we're really looking to do is to review these bids and accept one of these tonight. Is that the main objective right now?
Yeah, to accept the recommended bid, but I think this is an opportunity also to inform the public where we are and sort of like what was projected in 2021. So I have some information we can review. Because I just assumed that one of the questions would be, are we in budget? So I have a summary of that.
Do you want to start with that?
You want to start? Or?
Let's give the data. Let's give the bid results. You know what we're working against, because that's part of that conversation.
Okay.
So if we we put an RFP out for all the work that is part of the state approved stormwater plan for the Jersey Heights 3-acre stormwater improvement project. We sent that out to probably 8 or 9 different contractors directly. It was publicized publicly, and we had 5 contractors interested that either attended the pre-bid meeting or confirmed their interest. Unfortunately, we only got 2 bids back, and we confirmed that the 3 other ones had actively decided not to bid just because they were too busy. So the 2 bids came from Daly Percy Inc. Out of Stowe, and Walker Construction out of Waterbury. And Percy came in at just over 496,000. And Walker came in at just less than 290,000. So about a $200,000 swing. We were pretty happy when we got the second one from Walker. So we reviewed their bid. It looked good. We talked with them, confirmed their bid, confirmed they're up to do the work. And so pretty happy about that, because it was a good number. And I think we're lucky to have somebody ready to do the work at that number.
Just a quick calculation. Yeah, Percy was 71% more. So it's quite a bit more.
So our recommendation is that the town move forward with the bid from Walker at just under 290,000. They've committed to completing the work before the deadline, which is August 21st, which allows us to get the paperwork submitted to ARPA for funding. The next step would be to sign an agreement with Walker Construction. The draft is already in place as part of the bid document, so I don't expect much delay there. And then we just need to wait for a couple of permits to come in, including the Act 250 permit, which we are expecting to be issued in early June.
Great. Thank you, Tyler. Any questions for Tyler regarding the bids? Brent, you want to do a little history?
Just in regards to the bids, Tyler sent an email to myself and to Judy. And he did state the low bid Walker includes a higher unit price for ledge and boulder removal if encountered. So that is something to be aware of. Now, if we were to move forward with the original plan, which would have been an underground filtration system, we might have been concerned with ledge, but this is a above water stormwater pond. So if there's any ledge encountered, it would be a much minor cost than the original plan that was proposed. So I just want to put that out there for all of you. Okay, so 2021, there was a project estimate put together at that time, and the project estimate was $439,900. The ARPA funding was meant to cover approximately 72% of that cost. So the ARPA grant that we were able to obtain was for $316,675. So far, we have spent $68,440 for engineering. That is not just engineering, that's dealing with the state A&R DEC. And I have to give Mr. Mumley public kudos because he early on had a conversation with DEC representatives and said, you know, this underwater infiltration system, could we amend this and somehow do some other alternative, like you know, stormwater? And at the time there were no. So Mumley Engineering moved forward with trying to get that 60% plans to 90 and 100%. State came back to us after several months and said, we don't like that. We want you to use additional materials because of the water level and soil at this location. So they went back with this information and they had to reach out to the contractor to, you know, for best practices with that. And the contractor said, well, what you'll need to do now is lay, I don't know, some ungodly amount of cement. So the costs were just accumulating. And it got to a point where Mumley Engineering was not comfortable to put their engineering stamp on this project. And additional discussions were had with the state, and Mumley Engineering was able to convince the state that it wouldn't be appropriate to move forward with this with all the additional costs, the cement, the rubber, which wouldn't even be, if I'm not mistaken, guaranteed by the manufacturer because of the water levels. I might.
There's so many at that point. There's so many different variations of what the design might include. That the manufacturers of the chamber were hesitant to guarantee it.
So this is not just engineering costs. It's a lot of negotiations, a lot of back and forth with the state. I probably have an ulcer with this alone, so I want to thank Mumley publicly.
Thank you.
SPNF law, initially when we're moving forward with negotiating with the state with the initial contract, there's $4,000. Sergeant law, excuse me, SPNF is $7,000. Sergeant law, so far we've spent $4,000. That's just all dealing with easements. We still have another couple of easements to secure. And we're working on that diligently. I want to publicly thank Judy because she's handled 90% of that. You know, I've made a couple of calls, but otherwise been able to hand that off to Judy. And she's been managing it. State environmental conservation for permitting application costs, $8,700 roughly. And then as part of this stormwater, we had to pay impact fees because the amount of phosphorus and other contaminants. Am I saying that right?
No, contaminants.
Contaminants are below what would be acceptable. So we paid a conservation impact fee of $61,500. The Walker construction bid comes in at $289,458. The ARPA funds are $316,675, leaving a balance of $122,754.86. The project estimate was $439,900. The actual as of May 4th today is $439,429.86. So there's a variance. We're under by $470. There's going to be additional costs for easements. There's going to be some additional engineering costs because they're still dealing with Act 250 and you know, finalizing some things. But we're coming in very close to 2021 estimates. And part of the motions that the select board previously made is that you know, the 64 residents would be responsible for 60-something%. The town would be responsible for 30-something%, and we would go out for financing for that delta between what ARPA covers and what we need to complete the project. In between all of that, I also had to renegotiate with the state to change all the milestones because the milestones ended up being unrealistic based upon timeline, and they've made funding much more flexible. and taken out different categories with maximum amounts. So they made it much more favorable to Morristown. I think that summarizes it, but open to any questions.
Questions from the board?
One. Brent, the $122,754 and change. That is what the special tax assessment district will need to raise from the 63, 64 residences. Is that correct?
Well, they'll have to raise approximately 60% of that, right?
Okay, that's right, because we got 40% of it. I'm wrong. Okay.
63. Something like that.
Yeah.
Now we structured this so that we could get financing because we understood that some of the residents there would not want a one-time hit. So we have the flexibility to go out for financing for this. That'll require another public meeting and discussion with the residents about what they would like.
Okay. And was that about the number while we were in the decision process of whether to set up the special tax assessment district? Was that roughly, it's 60?
Yes, it was.
70%, 72%. This was
Actually,
about
higher
that
than
number.
what was approved.
Okay. Thank you. That's great.
It's not too often that a project estimate that's 5 years old comes in as the same estimate 5 years
But
later.
different solution.
But
That
Yeah.
is true. I mean, you have to account for the fact that the actual project is less than what the estimate was based on. Also, the estimate did have the foresight of including what was it? Inflation addition of 88,000. But there is the impact fees that kind of offset the change in the project. But
well, thank you, Tyler, for what you've done. Certainly helped out the taxpayers in town quite a bit.
well, we got paid to do it, but we're also happy to help. But to Brent's words, it was a wildly complicated process, and I'm sure there's some people in the crowd that would agree that it was also frustrating. And it's unfortunate that we had to go through all this, but them the rules, I guess you might say. So did our best, and just glad that the bid came in. It's somewhere in line with what we were expecting from years ago.
I would entertain a motion.
I move to award the construction bid for the Jersey Heights subdivision stormwater improvements project to Walker Construction and authorize town manager Brent Raymond to sign the agreement and all related project documents.
Thank you, Richard. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Richard, second by George. Discussion from the board, questions?
I just want to disclose that I'm one of the homeowners that will be contributing to this project
Thank you, Leo.
and appreciate all the work.
Yeah. Any other comments, discussion?
Okay.
Welcome. Okay, okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
You gonna abstain?
Are you gonna abstain? Okay, so it's 401. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler.
Okay, that takes care of new business. Old business, Habitat for Humanity, Robin Pierce regarding the survey of the lot on Richmond Street and parking. So we have a couple of maps in our packets. It's my understanding that when Robin and I believe Jordan went out there as well and looked at the parking and how to reconfigure it, the restriping generated one more parking spot. The way the parking was lined up was changed to create one more, and I believe there's one on the street, on Richmond Street, that was generated so that there are. So in the end, there's no loss of parking. The original construction was going to lose, I believe, 3 spots, and we have gain back those 3 spots. My arithmetic is correct. So in the end, there's no net loss in parking. I guess we're here to. Go ahead.
I move to ratify the prior motion passed on November 17, 2025, authorizing the conveyance of municipally owned land to Green Mountain Habitat for Humanity for the purpose of developing affordable housing for a purchase price of $50,000 contingent upon obtaining all necessary permits and approvals from the town of Morristown, and further requiring a payment of $2,000 to the town to support reconfiguration of the existing park and ride.
Thank you, Richard. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Okay.
I got a motion by Richard, a second by Leah. Discussion.
I was just wondering, are those 2 spaces part of the municipal parking, or are they going to belong to the residents?
The residents, yeah, on the map, there does show those 2 parking spots with, looks like vehicles in them. That's for the residents. So when we're talking about 3 additional spots, we're talking about 3 additional spots elsewhere.
Okay.
Okay.
Answer my question.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I will admit I was thinking the same thing over the weekend. So. Any other discussion?
I think this is good for our community, good for Habitat for Humanity, and we've spent a lot of time talking about this. So.
Yeah, and the last building they built in town was very nice.
Fantastic.
It was a nice home, and I imagine they'll do something very similar here. Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
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 That would be unanimous. Approve the warrants. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the warrants.
Thank you, Richard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Richard, second by Rose to approve the warrants. Any discussion regarding the warrants? Okay, all those in favor of the approval of the warrants, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous. Upcoming schedule, we have a meeting, a regular select board meeting in 2 weeks, May 18th, and another one on June 1st. Those are both at 5:30. On June 2nd, we will have a site visit and a public hearing for another consideration of a discontinuance. That would be for Lyle McKee Road. Other business?
No.
I am not going. I went last Thursday. I tell you, it will be a nice walk. It's a beautiful piece of property.
I don't know what my schedule looks like tomorrow, let alone Thursday. So depending on, okay. No, I just wanted to say there's.
Just let us know.
Yeah.
All of you that change your mind, you're going, just let us know so that we can warn it if needed.
Has Stolen Trust told us where we should be parking?
Jordan said Jordan told me today, because I asked him.
Yep.
I will send that to you. Sorry, I haven't got it.
Okay. Okay, that's fine.
When I went last Thursday, I know Jerry parked and somebody else parked on the right before the bridge.
Right before the bridge. Okay.
I parked in the cul-de-sac. There's quite a bit of room.
In the cul-de-sac, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're going up as you're on the bridge, the branch that goes to the right. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
so just cross the bridge and you'll see people right
Like
there.
up that little hill and go up there.
Don't go up the hill. That's the 18 acres.
That's too far. Okay.
That's being developed. So the
Okay.
land that we're considering is around that. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, Richard. I have a motion by Richard and a second by Leah. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
It is 7:38. That's unanimous. Thank you, everybody.